North, Susano sailed across the green sea toward Olympus and the god Hades. Aboard the vessel Tidebreaker, he spied the swarm of evil darkness converging overhead. "I have come for you," it seemed to say. "I will break you upon the ocean floor." Sailors cried in alarm as salt waters boiled around the belly of the ship. Wolf heads burst from below, attached to scaled and serpentine necks. A crewman raced past to avoid the hungry monster, but were snatched between its fangs. Others dove into the water, thinking it safer but meeting only oblivion. Dragged by her monstrous limbs, Scylla rose to the deck. Her childlike visage revealed madness and malice, now driven to dark purpose under sway of the dark cloud. Giggles spilled from her throat, beckoned by the cracking hull and terror-fueled screams of the mortals. Blade scraping free, Susano raced at the demon child. Feverishly, she hurled limb after snarling limb at him, but his feet danced aside. A leap like a soaring falcon brought him to her height, a strike that flared in setting sun. Scylla plummeted back beneath the waves. As Susano too descended with the sinking ship, the dark cloud turned north. Coughing seawater, Susano woke upon the shores of Olympus, surrounded by fractured flotsam and dregs of the deep. If Hades truly was the source of the malicious swarm, Susano could not stop here. With wide sword slung over one shoulder, he trudged northward into the darkness of the wood. Before long, gnarled branches and fanged leaves strangled all light from the forest floor. Chirping crickets and singing birds fell silent. Susano wiped stringy spider silk from his forehead. Thick as a rope, a thread of webbing propelled from the darkness and tangled his sword arm. At the other end was Arachne, once a beautiful priestess, now a spider fiend. Red eyes glittering with hunger, she pulled on her snared prey. Growling, Susano strained against her, the webbing creaking as it stretched between them. With a mighty roar, he snapped the web back and Arachne came hurtling towards him. His fierce fist he drove into her jaw, and Arachne crumpled like a crushed insect. Above, the canopy rustled as a swarm of winged creatures took flight, like a stormy gust through the leaves. Ripping the webbing free of his arm, Susano carried on until the forest was behind him, and he stood at the foot of Mount Olympus itself. Up there, atop the clouded peak, was the palace, and Hades. Black-winged beasts, too numerous to count, perched along the high rafters of the Olympian palace's throne room. A moonless night wandered through the narrow slit windows like a silent stranger upon the road. Only Hades's unnatural black flames dancing in the yawning braziers along the wall provided dim light. Susano entered cautiously, blade gripped tightly. "You fool," Hades whispered from the unseen depths of the darkness. "Their trap is sprung." All of the winged creatures abruptly took flight, swirling and swooping around Susano. A torrent of flapping wings crushed upon him until he could see nothing. Then, it was silent. He stood in a new place where horizon and ground were one and the same, colorless, featureless. Beneath his feet the ground squelched with saturation. Thin rain dripped from above. Standing before him was himself. "You are a failure," the other Susano sneered. "Your sister reviles you." "No," Susano hurtled at himself, sword raised. Cleanly, his doppelganger parried the attack and pushed him to the mud. Blows were cast upon him. A kick to the ribs, a slash across his back. Susano could only curl up against the onslaught. Then, that world peeled away, and he was again in the throne room. Hades loomed above him where once the doppelganger stood. The swarm retreated through the windows. "What happened?" Susano asked weakly. "I have set you free," Hades whispered. "The darkness had taken you."